There's a truth most of us spend our lives learning, yet very few truly grasp. Your emotions are not the truth. Let that sink in for a moment. The anger boiling in your chest right now, it's not the truth. The anxiety gnawing at your mind about tomorrow, it's not the truth. The hurt you feel when someone says something that upsets you, that's not it either. I know this might sound harsh, perhaps even cold, but stay with me, because understanding this principle, truly understanding it, can free you from chains you didn't even know you were carrying. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, who ruled the largest empire the world had ever known, wrote a line in his private journal, a notebook he never intended to publish, meant only to remind himself how to live. And in it, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Do you hear that? Power over your mind, not over the world, not over what others say, not over what has happened to you, but over your own internal reaction. This isn't some abstract theory. This is the key to a tranquil life in a chaotic world. So let's explore this together. Not as an interesting idea, but as a practical tool you can use today, right now, to reclaim control of your life. Let's start with the simple question. Why do we feel the way we do? Someone cuts you off in traffic. You feel angry. Your boss criticizes your work. You feel hurt. You check your bank account and find it lower than you expected. You feel anxious. It seems like emotions appear automatically, doesn't it? As if they are the natural, inevitable outcome of what happens to us. But this is where most people get it wrong. They believe, event emotion, someone does something, and I must feel angry. Something bad happens, and I must feel sad. The future is uncertain, and I must feel anxious. But this is a dangerous illusion. The truth is, there's a hidden step between the event and the emotion. A step most people never realize. And that step is your judgment. Event, judgment, emotion. Someone cuts you off in traffic. That's the event. But the emotion doesn't come from their action. It comes from what you tell yourself about it. They're rude. They don't respect me. They think they're more important than I am. That's the judgment. And that judgment, not the other driver's action, is what creates your anger. But what happens if you change the judgment? What if you tell yourself, maybe they're in a hurry, maybe they didn't see me, maybe they're having a bad day. Either way, this doesn't affect my worth. Suddenly, the anger vanishes. The event didn't change. The driver still cut you off, but your experience of it completely transformed. This is what Marcus Aurelius wanted us to understand. You have power over your mind, not over outside events. Now, I know some people are thinking, but wait, if someone hurts me, then my emotions are justified. I have every right to feel angry. And you know what? You're absolutely right. You have every right to feel that way. No one can take that right away from you. But here's the real question. Does feeling angry help you? Because that ultimately is the only thing that matters. Not whether you have the right to feel that way, but whether it serves you. Does it make your life better? Does it help you live according to your values? Or does it simply make you suffer more? Marcus Aurelius knew this better than anyone. He was the emperor of Rome. People betrayed him. Enemies attacked him. Advisors deceived him. If anyone had a right to be angry, it was him. But he chose a different path. He wrote, "You always have a choice. You always have control over what you think." Not because he didn't care, not because he was cold or emotionless, but because he understood a very simple truth. Anger only hurts the one who holds it. When you're angry at someone, they might be sleeping soundly, eating comfortably, living their life completely unaware. But you're burning yourself from the inside out. That's not justice. That's self-destruction. So if emotions are not facts, and they stem from our judgments, then the next question is, how do we change our judgments? Because let's be honest, saying, just think differently, is easy. But when you're in the throes of anger, with your heart racing and your face flushed, simply deciding to calm down can seem like an impossible feat. I understand. And this is where Stoic philosophy doesn't just stop at advice. It gives you practical tools. The first tool is what we call the view from above. Imagine you're soaring high above, looking down at your life from the air. You see yourself a tiny human on a tiny planet. spinning within an unimaginably vast universe. You see your city, your country, your continent. You see history stretching back thousands of years behind you and thousands of years ahead. And in that context, does the annoying comment your colleague made this morning still matter? Marcus Aurelius often did this. He would remind himself, of all that exists in the universe, a tiny fraction is for you. Of all time, a tiny moment. Why do you let trivial things disturb you? This isn't about trivializing your pain. It's about putting it into perspective. When you view your life from this broader perspective, things that seem like major catastrophes suddenly become manageable, acceptable, perhaps even not worth your emotional energy. The second tool is the distinction. This is what Epictetus, one of the great masters of Stoicism, taught. Some things are within our control, and others are not. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Yet most of us spend our days trying to control things that are beyond our control. We try to control what others think of us. We can't. We try to control the weather. We can't. We try to control the past. We can't. We try to control the future. We can't. And every time we try, we create suffering for ourselves. But there's one thing, just one thing over which you always have complete control. Your reaction. What you think. What you believe. How you interpret what happens to you. The actions you choose to take next. That's your territory. That's your fortress. And no one, no matter how powerful, how rich, or how influential, can take that away from you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You are always the master of your will. No one can force you to think or feel in a particular way." Let that sink in. What that means is, if someone tries to make you angry, they can only succeed if you agree. If someone tries to make you feel inferior, they can only do so if you allow it. If a situation tries to make you anxious, it only has power if you give it power. Now, I know this might sound extreme, perhaps even unrealistic, but try it. The next time someone says something that upsets you, pause, just for a second, and ask yourself, what within me is reacting to this? Not, what did they do? But, what within me is feeling hurt? Perhaps it's your pride. Perhaps it's your need for respect. Perhaps it's the fear of not being good enough. And when you see that, when you truly see it, you realize that the emotion doesn't come from their words. It comes from your judgment of those words. And your judgment, you can change that. This is where things become truly powerful. Because once you understand that your emotions come from your judgments, you also understand this. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the architect of your experience. That doesn't mean you can control what happens to you. You can't. Life will throw punches your way. People will let you down. Plans will fail. Loss will occur. But you can always choose the meaning you assign to those things. You can look at failure and see defeat. Or you can look at it and see a lesson. You can look at betrayal and see devastation. Or you can look at it and see an opportunity to practice forgiveness. You can look at loss and see an end. Or you can look at it and see a reminder of ephemerality, the preciousness of the present moment. That is your power. That is your freedom. And no one can take it away unless you let them. But let's go deeper, because I don't want you to just understand this intellectually. I want you to live it. I want it to seep into your bones, so that the next time you feel your emotions surge, you have a clear path back to calm. So let's talk about anger. Anger is the emotion most of us think is the most justifiable. Someone hurts us, so we have a right to be angry. Someone acts unfairly, so we should be angry. Anger seems like the correct, even noble response. But Marcus Aurelius didn't see it that way. He wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, today I will meet meddlers, ungrateful people, violent people, deceivers, envious people, and unsociable people. All these things happen to them because they do not know what is good and what is evil." That last line again. They do not know what is good and what is evil. This is not an excuse for bad behavior. It is the truth. When someone acts cruelly, it's not because they consciously decide to be a bad person. It's because, in that moment, they believe their actions are justified. They believe what they are doing is right, based on their limited understanding of the world. They are deluded, and you know what? So are you. So am I. We all are. Every time we act foolishly, it's not because we want to hurt ourselves. It's because, in that moment, we believe our actions will lead to something good. We are wrong, but we don't see it at the time. So when someone makes you angry, ask yourself, what are they deluded by? Perhaps they think rudeness will make them seem strong. Perhaps they believe deceiving you will protect them. Perhaps they are afraid, and that fear makes them lash out. And once you see their delusion, your anger begins to dissipate. Because you don't get angry at a child who breaks something. You recognize they don't know any better. You don't get angry at a barking dog, you understand, it's just its nature. And when you see others as deluded individuals, struggling with their own wounds, fears, and limited understanding, you no longer feel attacked. You feel pity. And pity, unlike anger, does not burn you. Try an exercise. Think about someone who has made you angry recently. Really visualize them. Recall what they did or said. Now ask yourself, what pain or fear is driving their behavior? Don't answer too quickly. Really think about it. Perhaps they feel threatened. Perhaps they feel insecure. Perhaps they are protecting a vulnerable ego. And when you truly see that, everything changes. You might still dislike what they did. You might still set boundaries. You might still protect yourself, but you no longer carry the anger, and that's when you are free. Now, let's talk about anxiety. Anxiety is perhaps the most prevalent emotion of our time. We worry about the future. We worry about money. We worry about our health, relationships, work, reputation. And like anger, anxiety seems like a reasonable response. If something is important, then we should worry about it, right? Wrong. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." Read that line again. Weapons of reason. Reason is not worry. Reason is preparation. If you're worried about an important meeting, reason says, prepare, practice, work as hard as you can, then let the outcome unfold naturally. If you're worried about money, reason says, build a plan, save, budget, act wisely, then trust that you'll manage. If you're worried about health, reason says, eat well, exercise, get enough sleep, do what you can control. The rest is not yours to decide. Do you see the difference? Reason acts. Worry paralyzes. Worry is living in a future that doesn't exist, suffering over problems you don't yet have, feeling helpless about things that haven't happened. It's a complete waste of your energy. Epictetus taught his students a simple exercise. He said, when you're worried, ask yourself, is this within my control? If yes, then act. Do something about it, right now. Not tomorrow, right now. If no, then let go. Accept it. Trust that you'll handle it when it comes. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But be honest. How many of the things you worry about are actually within your control? I'd guess less than 10%. The rest, you're simply tormenting yourself for no reason. So practice this. The next time you feel anxious, write down what's worrying you. Then, next to it, write, can I control this? If yes, write down your next action and do it. If no, write, I release this, and truly let it go. Now, there's an emotion we haven't discussed yet, but perhaps it's the most profound, and that is sadness. Anger, you can argue with. Worry, you can reason with. But sadness? Sadness feels like something you just have to endure. So what does Stoic philosophy say about sadness? First, let's be clear. Stoicism doesn't tell you not to feel sad. That's not the goal. The goal isn't to become a robot, detaching emotions from the human experience. The goal is not to let sadness master you. Marcus Aurelius lost many children. He lived through plagues, wars, and betrayal. He knew how profound sadness could be. But he also wrote, everything is just for a moment, both the rememberer and the remembered. What he was saying is, your sadness, no matter how heavy it feels, is ephemeral. The person you're remembering, they were also ephemeral. And you, the one remembering, you are also ephemeral. Sounds bleak, doesn't it? But it's not. It's liberating. Because when you truly understand that everything, every person, every experience, every emotion is temporary, You stop clinging to them desperately. You love, but you don't cling. You cherish, but you don't possess. You let sadness flow through you, knowing that it will pass, just like everything else. There's a Stoic practice called Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. Sounds uncomfortable, but hear me out. Every night before bed, Stoics would spend a few minutes visualizing everything that could go wrong. They would imagine losing loved ones, losing health, losing possessions. Why? Not to become pessimistic, but to prepare. Because when you regularly remind yourself that everything you have can be taken away, you stop taking them for granted. You start to appreciate them more. You love more deeply. You live more fully. And when loss finally comes, and it will come, because loss is an inevitable part of life, you aren't devastated by it. You are ready. You have accepted life's impermanence. You know that this is part of the deal. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Losing someone you love is not a tragedy. The tragedy is forgetting that they will die." Because if you truly remember that everything is temporary, then every moment with them becomes a gift. Every hug, every conversation, every smile, no longer something you're owed, but a privilege. So how do you deal with sadness when it comes? First, you don't fight it. You let it be there. You acknowledge it. I am sad. This is sadness. No judgment, no shame, just observation. Second, you don't wallow in it. You don't create stories about why everything always goes wrong, why life is unfair, why you're always suffering. You just feel the emotion, nothing more, nothing less. Third, you remind yourself of impermanence. You say, "This too shall pass. I have felt sad before, and it passed. I will feel sad again, and it will pass again." That is the nature of emotion. And finally, you act. You don't wait for sadness to disappear before living your life. You live your life despite the sadness. You get up, you eat breakfast, you take a walk, you call a friend, you work. Not because you feel like it, but because it's the right thing to do. And strangely, when you act despite the sadness, it begins to lose its weight. It doesn't disappear, but it stops paralyzing you. So, where do we stand? We've talked about anger, about anxiety, about sadness, but it all comes back to the same fundamental principle taught by Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not external events. So, how do you truly live this? Not just understand it, but embody it in your daily life. Let me give you a practical framework, a practice you can start today. Step 1. Pause. When you feel a strong emotion, anger, anxiety, madness, whatever it may be, the first thing you do is pause. Don't react. Don't say anything. Don't do anything. Just breathe. Become aware that an emotion is present. This sounds simple, but it's a game changer, because most of us react instantly. Someone says something, and we immediately retort. Something happens, and we immediately panic. That brief pause, just 5 seconds, creates space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you have freedom. Step 2. Name it. Tell yourself what's happening. I'm feeling angry. I am feeling anxious. I am feeling hurt. Don't judge it. Don't tell yourself you shouldn't feel that way. Just observe it. When you name an emotion, you create distance between yourself and the emotion. You realize you are not the emotion. You are the one experiencing the emotion. You are not anger. You are the one who feels angry. You are not anxiety. You are the one who feels anxious. This distinction is important. Step 3. Examine. Now ask yourself, what judgment is creating this emotion? Recall, event, judgment, emotion. So, what is your judgment? They shouldn't have said that to me. This isn't fair. I can't handle this. The future will be terror. Write it down if you need to. Make it clear. Step 4. Challenge. Now ask, is this judgment true? Is it helpful? Often you will find that the judgment is either false or unhelpful, or both. They shouldn't have said that to me, but they did. So now what? This isn't fair. Life doesn't promise fairness. How will you respond? I can't handle this. You've handled everything up until now. Why would this time be different? When you challenge the judgment, you realize it's just a thought, not the truth, just an interpretation. And if it's just an interpretation, then you can choose a different one. Step 5. Reframe. Finally, choose a better judgment. One that aligns more with the truth and serves your well-being. They said that because they are suffering, it has nothing to do with my worth. This is challenging, but I've overcome challenges before. I will manage. I don't know what will happen, but I can prepare, and I can trust myself to handle what comes. Let this new judgment replace the old one, and watch the emotion change. Now, does this mean you'll never feel angry, anxious, or sad again? Of course not. You are human. Emotions are a part of you, and that's a good thing. But what will change is this. You will no longer be swept away by emotions. You will no longer identify with them. You will no longer let them control you. Instead, you will observe them. You will understand them, and you will choose to respond consciously instead of reacting unconsciously. That is the freedom Marcus Aurelius was talking about. That is power over your mind. I want you to imagine this. A year from now, you look back at your life. You realize that the things that used to keep you up at night no longer bother you. The people who used to make you angry no longer hold that power. The fears that once paralyzed you have diminished. Not because your life has become perfect, but because you have changed. You have understood what Marcus Aurelius knew. Your life is what your thoughts make it. So choose your thoughts wisely. Protect your mind as if it were your most sacred territory. Not to become cold, not to suppress your emotions, but to understand them, to see them for what they truly are, not truths, but responses to judgments. And when you understand that, you reclaim your power. The world will still be chaotic. People will still disappoint you. Life will still throw surprises at you, but you will not be shaken, because you have something no one can take away. Power over your mind.